Hi, obviously I'm not an artist, and in this vlog I'm going to be displaying and discussing Blood Angel characters. The Blood Angels are the 9th Space Marine chapter, meaning they are the 9th of the original 20 legions that were created by the Emperor of Mankind for his 20 generals, the Primarchs. The Blood Angels are a loyalist chapter, meaning when the Chaos Gods corrupted the Primarchs and they then waged war against the Imperium, the Primarch of the Blood Angel Sanguinius and his legion sided with the Emperor. Unfortunately, Sanguinius was killed during the conflict, and the Blood Angels were broken down to a force of only 1,000 Space Marines. This was at the behest of the remaining loyalist Primarchs, who had assumed control of the Imperium, as the Emperor was and still is mortally wounded and in a state of permanent confinement to the life-sustaining Golden Throne. Fast forward 10,000 years, and the Blood Angels are still around, along with several other Space Marine forces. They're known as a divergent chapter. This is because they don't completely follow the Codex Astartes, which is the document that Space Marine chapters should adhere to within organisation and strategy. That being said, their command structure is very similar to a Codex compliant chapter. It looks something like this. A commander holds the highest rank. From there are 10 captains for each of the 10 companies, and each captain is supported by 2 lieutenants. Then each company has 6 battle line squads, 2 close assault squads, 2 fire support squads, and a handful of dreadnoughts. Further support roles include the chapter's armory, supervised by a tech marine, a librarian section and battle psychers led by the chief librarian, and a reclusium for the chapter's spiritual warriors and chaplains. This is overseen by the high chaplain. It is then that the Blood Angel chapter deviates by having a sanguinary priesthood rather than an exclusive apothecarian of battle medics. Scouts, veterans and elite troops also serve in the chapter, but they aren't the focus of this video. As the Blood Angels are a popular and frequently played Space Marine army, they therefore have a large and well supported model line. Several of them are named characters, some though have been displayed in previous videos. Despite this, I'm going to display them all here, largely because I've just finished them. Let's start with the big cheese himself, Commander Dante. Commander Dante, the Lord Regent of the Imperial Nihilus, is the oldest living Space Marine and has been the commander of the Blood Angels for 1100 years at this point. Luis Dante is rumoured to be 1500 years old and is figuratively too old for this. However, despite his advanced age, he is still a powerful warrior and effective leader. This is no more clearly identified by having the returning Primarch of the Ultramarines, Robo Guilliman, task him with defending the northern part of the galaxy in his stead. Dante in his current form is the second version to be released, as originally he was a metal sculpt, as seen here, which was released and purchased by me in 1997, and then stripped and repainted in 2018 when I returned to the hobby. This first edition Dante was turned into a fine cast model from metal in 2011 and remained at this scale and pose until the year 2023. However, Games Workshop dropped a clanger and sent the new Dante sculpt to a customer before the official release. Either that or it was some sort of bizarre shadow drop. Painting started with a grey prime and a white zenithal. This is against my usual style of a black prime and a white zenithal, as Dante's base is gold, retribute armour to be exact, and gold over black takes several coats. It doesn't give a lustre that a lighter primer would. Recesses were washed with a flesh tone and highlighted with Liberator gold and Stormpost silver. While I am very proud of the paint job here, and I count it amongst my best painted model, I did struggle to get some depth on some of the armour plates, particularly the legs. This pose is very typical of a modern jump pack Space Marine, where the illusion of lift comes from launching off a tall tactical rock, and while I'm not in love with this new style, it is still honestly better than the terrible clear flight stands. Chief Librarian Miston is a very popular character in the lore, and has quite the backstory, which I have covered in previous videos, but just in case, I'll do a short recap. Brother Calistarius was a talented Blood Angel librarian who fell to the Black Rage and was inducted into the Death Company, where during a colossal battle, a building fell on him. He remained pinned there for a week, with nightmare visions of the death of Sanguinius and unrelenting bloodlust. Eventually, by sheer will alone, he overcame the Black Rage, the only Blood Angel ever to do that, and dug himself out. Now more powerful than ever, he was reborn as Miston, Lord of Death. Like Dante, he had a metal model released in 2nd edition, which went to fine cast for many years, up until the end of 9th edition, where he was reimagined based on this artwork from the Angels of Death Codex. This is a shared codex for both Blood and Dark Angels. I had a bit of a problem building the new edition Miston. You may notice that the right leg is in the wrong position. To counter this, I placed a Tyrannid skull under his right foot. Up until recently, this was probably my best painted mini, and one of the few instances of me attempting a zenithal highlight by painting a brighter red onto the chest plate to simulate where an overhead light source would strike the chest and therefore be brighter than the other parts of the armour. However, the red is technically in the wrong position, as it should be on the upper half of the pectoral armour, not where it is currently placed. As opposed, he has two options for his right hand, with either a plasma pistol readied or with the more famous mouth wipe that is supposed to simulate Miston taking a bite out of crime, but is often parodied as him blowing his nose. As you can clearly see, I fell to peer pressure here and went with the pistol. However, I do somehow have another Miston, which I have designs on building and then painted in Death Company colours and the nose blowing pose. High Chaplain Astrath was originally seen in the Chaplain's video, really hoping for an upscale of this mini soon, as he's tiny. Like Miston and Dante, he was originally a metal mini that went to Finecast, however he is much younger, coming in at 5th edition. I previously made a connection between Astrath's and Vlad the Impaler's armour in Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. I'm really looking forward to seeing a reimagining of this armour and pose. Chaplain Lamates, like Astrath, was also in the Chaplain video. I stated that the armour was based on using a black contrast paint over a zenithal prime, giving it more ancient look. This happy accident makes sense from a lore perspective, as when Lamates is not needed for battle, he is kept in stasis due to his tentative grip on sanity, so he probably won't spend any downtime polishing his armour. With this mini, I'm too looking forward to a remake of Lamates, especially since the Death Company has not had a lot of love in several editions, with the very underwhelming Death Company Intercessor kit, and that's about the size of it. Erasmus Tycho is dead, but somehow has a model and two potential paint schemes. Captain Tycho is a 2nd edition character known for previously leading the 3rd Company. He's distinguishable by his gold artificer armour, compy melder weapon called Bloodsong, a strange and difficult to define melee weapon known as the Dead Man's Hand, and a half face mask. The face mask conceals disfigurement caused by an orc weirdboy's psychic attack. Lore states that he was left with a permanent rictus grin and had the finest Blood Angels artisans craft him a mask to cover it. Tycho the Lost is the darker version of Tycho, as sometime in later editions of 40k he fell to the Black Rage and was inducted into the Death Company and then died. This version is sporting black armour with the red wounds of Sanguinius and rules that all Death Company models and units have, which range from extra attack, feel no pain saves, and leadership debuffs. When returning to the hobby, the Tycho I currently own, which is metal, was painted in gold. Wanting some narrative flavour in my small force, I stripped the gold and repainted in black and free-handed some red X's. This model has seen maybe 2 games, largely because the rules are a bit rubbish. And like I said earlier, in the lore he's dead, so I don't see him getting a new model, but I've always wanted to do a diorama of him being wounded by the orc weird boy. Obviously I'm not an artist, so I'm not sure when or if that'll ever happen. Captain Carlian is a Terminator captain and been in more videos than any other model I own. Moving on. Lieutenant Tomon is a Primaris lieutenant without a tactical rock, and is barely a character but is named and has a model, so here he is. It's really just an intercessor with a power sword and armour adornments. He does have an alternative head, helmed or unhelmed, and has an option of an open-handed or holding a bolt pistol. I have added a heavily sculpted base from the Indomitus captain, which has given him the mother of all tactical rocks, because it just feels right, and a Necron warrior to give a good shoe-in if he gets bored. Identifying lieutenants in Blood Angels armies is not without confusion, as they have a gold helmet to denote either command or veteran status, but how do you tell them apart from captain, champions, or regular veterans? In Codex compliant chapters, this is easy because stripes and colours can be used. The best I can tell is this coloured variant on the right pauldron on the image of Lieutenant Tomon. He has a red split line over a yellow background. I have not done this for reasons. Brother Corbulo is the senior Sangri priest and holder of the Red Grail. This is a relic that holds some of Sanguinius' blood. Another 2nd edition non-ferrous metal mini that transitioned to a non-metallic sculpt, he is possibly the shortest character currently in the Blood Angels range. He is also just 2 pieces, the character and his power pack. I mounted him on a Sector Imperialis base just for some visual interest. I think all sanguinary priests, not just Brother Corbulo, need a refresh, as they lack much flair, and I'm holding out hope for the Blood Angels in 10th getting these in a glow up. Before I move on to probably the best Blood Angels character in the game, I'm going to take an aside to discuss Veteran Sergeant Cluen. This is a named character that never had an official model, but was available to play in 2nd edition as he had a stat line. Veteran Sergeant Cluen is the guardian of the Shroud of Sanguinius. The Shroud of Sanguinius is one of the most revered holy relics that belong to the Blood Angels. The Shroud is a standard or banner that he was wrapped in upon his death at the end of the Horus Heresy. However, this may now have been retconned in the Horus Heresy book series. If anyone knows whether this is still accurate, let me know in the comments. I haven't read it, and based on my finite hobby time, don't ever see that happening either. According to his 2nd edition entry, the Shroud is kept in a special box, protected by a force field. And finally, the Sanguinor, who can most accurately be described as an Imperial demon, a truly mythical figure that appears in the Blood Angels' time of need. Like Astrath and the Martes, he is a small and detailed fine-cast miniature that was once metal. Looking like a jacked version of a Sanguinary Guard doing a vacuum pose, the Sanguinor can appear from nowhere in front of a charging enemy and interrupt combat, frequently slaying incoming foes with his broadsword before they can harm any Blood Angels. In-universe lore states that towards the end of the Horus Heresy, 8 Sanguinary Guard participated in a kind of lottery to be the Herald of Sanguinius, and then somehow this Space Marine became the Sanguinor. I don't really understand it. Painting the Sanguinor was all about using techniques for both Astrath and Commander Dante, some tactical dry brushing, blood droplets, and lots of golds and silvers, and, well, nipples. However, I had some issues with the wings, and I really don't like how they turned out. The greys and the whites really weren't behaving as they normally do. And that is all the Blood Angels characters to date, and some lore too. I'm holding out hope for that range refresh. Come on GW, give the 9th some love, like you did for the 1st. A massive thank you for watching my content, especially the last video on Space Marine Armour and Armoured Space Marines, which did incredibly well, hitting nearly 2,000 views and generating enough new subs to reach 50, which means I made that 50 subscribers YouTube short. Welcome to everybody new, and an ongoing thank you for my longer viewers. I've had some really nice comments to read and engage with recently, which was great because like I said a few paragraphs back, our hobby time is finite, and any use spare to watch or communicate is forever appreciated. Please continue to like, comment and subscribe as I continue to chronicle the collecting, construction and creating.